Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei was attacked by Deku and becomes anti-villain with Deadpool's personality part 1. Before we start, please go support Shadow the Player 528 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Issei is a male in this story. Prologue. Of someone. What do you mean, someone? Are you really going to start like that? Someone spoke, interrupting the author. Author? Well, it's to make your entry, Issei. Issei. Ah, forget it, I'll take care of this. Author. Okay, I'll leave it in your hands, bye. Issei. Bye. How difficult can this be? I just have to tell my story. Issei, businesswoman to growl in her throat to get the reader viewer's attention. Issei. Hello dear reader viewer, welcome to my story, so let's get started. Narrate Issei. It all started a long time ago. You all know me as the pervert that I am, both in the Kuo Academy that used to be a women's academy but became mixed. But anyway, let's get to the point. It was another normal day, birds singing, flowers blooming, blah blah blah, things like that. One day a new student came and introduced himself as Izuku Midoriya. He had green hair as well as his eyes, he looked athletic as he was somewhat toned, and his face, well, see for yourself. If the truth is, I got a first impression since he seemed like a youth that would be easily graped, but no, and the truth is I thought he would be someone friendly, clumsy and shy with that face. And then all the girls in my class started screaming like crazy when they saw the guy. And on the other hand, my classmates, including my only two friends who are Mitsuda and Motohama, behaved like idiots and envious seeing it. I didn't give it much importance, but it bothered me that it called attention. It's not that I was jealous because he attracted the attention of girls, even if only a little, but it was just a matter of habit, so I didn't give it much importance. After a while the girls started talking to him. I left there because I wanted to hear about his nonsense. Do you have a girlfriend? Are you dating anyone? Are you coming from somewhere? And more things like that, but without realizing it, some of them started talking about me, about how perverted I am, and since they exaggerate, I don't know how the guy would take it. Until the bastard hit me out of nowhere. Obviously I complained to him about it, but the bastard didn't even answer me, he just went to his desk. At that moment I thought, what's wrong with that idiot to hit me? I left the place obviously with a blow to the face that he gave me seemed so strong that I almost felt like he would knock out a tooth, without knowing that day things would change for me. An example. Everyone at the academy started to hate me for no reason at all, well, except that I'm perverted to the point that they marked my desk with insults and curses. I didn't give it much importance. When I left the academy I was attacked by gang members. Obviously I defended myself, but since they came in a group of about 4 or 5 guys, I would end up with a beating. It was difficult at first, but over time I gained experience, but every day the numbers increased, and that bothered me. But between us, well, that's up to you if you don't believe me or not. You'll see that every night when I went to sleep a guy would appear. The guy introduced himself as the Dream Warrior and told me that he was sent to teach me how to fight. Yes, I know this sounds like a shitty fantasy cliché story where some kind of god or entity, so to speak, chooses a chosen one. I already thought I had lost my mind, but when I heard that he would teach me how to fight to defend myself, he convinced me since I was sick of being attacked by gang members every damn day. The guy taught me several styles, but what surprised me the most were the blazon techniques. When he showed me one of them they didn't seem real, it was like it was from a video game. Those techniques seemed impossible to me, but when I woke up I didn't say anything to anyone for 2 reasons. 1. Nobody would believe me. 2. They would take me for a crazy person or a weirdo. So I didn't say anything to save myself the trouble. I had a doubt, so when I decided to practice some of the blazon. So I waited to be attacked as usual. To my surprise there was a group of 4 guys, so I stood on guard and waited for them to attack me. It was a bit difficult at first, but he's already used to being attacked in groups. I left them on the ground one by one until the last one was left. He wanted to run away, but I caught him from behind. I used my legs to grab onto his waist and hit him in the head, then turned around and started hitting him in the face. Then I put my hands on the ground and holding him tightly with my legs around his waist, I lifted the guy up to slam his head into the ground and get back on my feet. I had done it. I made one of the blazon that the Dream Warrior taught me. I was stunned, so I left so as not to draw attention to myself, but not before looking for one of their phone numbers to call the emergency services so they wouldn't suspect that I called my phone, because if I did, the police would interrogate me and I want to avoid any possible problems. And so the days went on, gang members attacking me, bullying at school, dreams of the Dream Warrior to teach me new techniques and styles. Even though that sounded a bit gay no homo, I'm 100% straight. With each blazon technique they taught I was already beginning to be feared by the gang members and some of the students at the academy, since some of them saw me fight. And what is that about it being feared? Simple, since I had some slight changes. I was somewhat toned, not that much, but my hair was disheveled since they attacked me every day, and my hair became disheveled, and that's how disheveled I look. They thought my slick back hairstyle was my hair itself, but in reality it makes me look messy, and also, seeing that it always messed up, I decided not to comb my hair anymore to avoid the hassle. I also changed my style of humor that I had before, from perverted to one of someone hostile, and who was obviously looking for a fight, but still remained kind but somewhat cautious, of course. He put on a neutral face so as not to attract attention. But when it came to fighting, he used to be aggressive when hitting someone as the number of gang members increased every day. Some of them carried weapons such as knives, baseball bats and even knuckle dusters. Even many of them were boxers who were already in championships. Things were already starting to get more difficult. So I also responded to them by attacking each of them. He first attacked those who were armed, and when they took it away he used it against them, except for the knives. He threw them far away so they wouldn't take it again. He even used bats and knuckle dusters. He even used glass bottles to break them over their heads. But don't worry, he also threw the broken bottles. The shit was getting more and more complicated for me. But over time, some of those gangs were giving up on attacking me for fear that when they confronted me they would end up in the hospital. Some of them in the hospital while others flee like cowards. Yes, I always sent them to the hospital in every fight I had with them, but I began to notice that I always left them in very bad condition. So I always called an ambulance on one of the guys' cell phones, and so that they wouldn't recognize my voice, I used my handkerchief that I was carrying and put it over my mouth so as not to arouse suspicion from the police. Even some of the gangs started recruiting me. I always refused, but of course every time I refused they would attack me, and you already know how it would end. But one of those gangs that also tried to recruit me. If I remember correctly, I think they were called the Brahmins. And the only thing I remember is that their leader was a girl who actually looked like a boy the first time I saw her. But that's another story. But not everything was bad, because one day I saw a group of idiots laughing maliciously. Seeing that gave me a bad feeling. So I went to where they were, and when I got closer I saw what made me furious. Those damn sons of hitches were drowning some stray puppies. I couldn't stand to hear them laugh at the act they were doing, so I ran towards them and we started to fight. Obviously I already had the advantage because of my experience fighting, but the anger I had. After finishing fighting with them I jumped into the river, but unfortunately it was too late and they drowned. But miraculously one of them survived. I left the idiots that I mashed where they were. I wasn't going to bother calling an ambulance like I always did. Those kinds of people don't deserve help. Even gang rapists. Yes, as you heard Red, I also met that kind of gangsters even in the act. In fact, I really gave them a beating that in fact made them a special blazon for them. He grabbed them by the throat and then hit them between their legs with his fist and threw them to the ground and then kicked them hard, making them spin around. And what happened to the victims of abuse? The most obvious thing was to call the police, but this time I was the one who called while I was taking care of the victims. Some of them even came from the academy and others from different schools. But as I was saying, one of the puppies miraculously survived. I felt sorry for him, even for his puppy brothers who have passed away. I took the bodies and buried them with the help of a stick to chop and dig in the ground. There are a total of 4 puppies. And what did I do with the puppy that survived easily? I took care of him, obviously secretly from my parents, since I was unsure if they would let me take care of the canine. By the way, I called him Stikey since he's a male. Which by the way was a breed called Beagle. I left him in a hidden place for when I went to get him to play or go for a walk. In addition to training him a little, I even bought him a collar with his name on it. And the truth is that Stikey was the best dog I've ever had. I felt like I would smile again because by having him with me I felt that all the messes and problems that they have been giving me these last few days. And without realizing it, 2 months have already passed, 2 months in which gang members continued to tie me up and the school bullying continued. Some are afraid of me, others continue doing their thing. Not to mention that they no longer called me the perverted beast, because now they called me the ruthless beast. How original, isn't it? But anyway, one day everything changed for me. Well, it was another day, just like always. The birds were singing, the flowers were blooming and blah blah blah. It was break time at the academy and I was already leaving the classroom to go to a quiet place. And when I was going to leave, someone was in front of me. The most curious thing is that the guy was carrying a box. He didn't tell me his name, he just gave me the box and left. I went back to my desk to open the box, only to be surprised to find that Aren Stikey was all hurt and had blood stains on his fur. I felt very sad seeing him in that state. I even shouted his name and moved him a little to see if he was okay, but unfortunately he was dead. They just killed my dog. I couldn't cry because I was boiling with rage. I wanted to know who was responsible for killing my dog. I saw that there was a letter that had slight blood stains and I opened it. And the person responsible was the leader of the gang of infernal crows. He gave me the location of the site to find it. I carried my dog's corpse in my hands and left the academy. And when I left, he directed me to where I buried the puppies that I buried, and when I arrived, I took a stick, I poked the ground and a hole appeared, and I put Stiky inside, and I buried him next to his canine brothers. Then I headed to the place. I walked in and the first thing I saw was a bunch of idiots because they are all members of the Infernal Crows gang. Each and every one of them looked at each other with arrogant laughter, thinking that I am stuck with them because they are wrong. I'm not stuck with you, you're stuck with me. To summarize it quickly, I had no mercy on them, I even used the bats they had with them until I broke them. I could even hear how I was breaking their bones. I was out of control with my anger. I could hear them screaming in pain. Some tried to escape and obviously I wasn't going to let them leave without getting what they deserved. After finishing, he had on the ground the one who seemed to be the leader of the gang. Obviously he is terrified and even peed on his pants. Leader. Please let me go, I beg you. Issei. Why should I? Issei said in front of his victim who was seen on the ground trembling with fear. Leader. Please forgive me for killing your dog, but I was just following orders. Issei. Orders, what orders? Leader. Someone was paying us to attack you. Every gang that attacked you was paid. Issei. You say that someone has been paying every gang member in the city to attack me. Leader. If you tell me you let go, I will give you the name of the person. Issei. Who was it? Leader. Izuku Midoriya, he was the one who was pulling the strings. He told us to beat you up because, according to him, you were a pervert who stole panties and extorted girls, so you could do it with them. So, for the sake of taste, let me. When that idiot told me that it was all the work of that lettuce hair of Izuku Midoriya. My anger grew more and more because of what I heard from the idiot on the ground. Leader. I already told you who it was that was making your life miserable, so please let me go. Issei. Fine, get out, but. Leader. But. Issei. But that doesn't mean you have not been freed for what you did to dog. Leader. He told me to do what I did, I didn't want to do it, but he forced me, please forgive me. Issei. No, forgive me. And I proceeded to slaughter him. I had no mercy on him. I broke his legs, then his arms, and I beat his face until I left him unrecognizable. He was still alive because he was breathing. And when I finished I took one of the cell phones of one of the idiots, and you know what I did, I called emergency services, and they were going to take them to the hospital. And why did I make it simple? They were just puppets for that green-haired guy. I headed to the academy as quickly as possible to kill that idiot Midoriya. And I saw him and I jumped to give him a double kick in the face. I didn't even let him get up as I kicked him in the face again. Then I picked him up and start hitting him. I didn't give him a chance to defend himself as I was giving him quick blows that he didn't seem to react to. I was slaughtering him, but at one point. Goof, I don't know what happened, I felt like I disconnected, I didn't feel anything, not even anger. It was like I was separated from my body for one more minute. Until I reacted because I felt something that made me recover my 5 senses. All I saw was that I was on a bridge, then I felt something on my shoulder. And when I turned around I saw my father. What my father was doing here and more on a bridge I didn't understand. Everything was strange until my father spoke to me. Boru. Issei, what are you doing? Why were you about to fall on this bridge? Issei. What are you talking about? Boru. What am I talking about? You were about to jump and why are you all beaten up? Issei. What? And there I saw that he was all hurt and beaten. I didn't understand anything, I just remembered that I was fighting with a green-haired guy with a yuke face. After that I was expelled from the academy because I told all the students and teachers, including the director, to go suck the devil's hawk, even the idiot Izuku, who was raped by 30 black men with a 40 centimeters hawk. Well, not all of them, since I've had some of them, they weren't as stupid as the others. I got a scolding from my parents asking me to explain why the situation. I had no choice, they wanted an explanation, so I gave it to them. And I showed them my whole body, all bruised and hurt, some wounds and cuts. I explained to them that for the last 2 months every time I left the academy I was attacked by gang members day after day. Obviously I didn't tell you about the Dream Warrior. And when I finished explaining what happened, my mother hugged me and reproached me for why I never told them. I just didn't want to worry them and get them into trouble. After that a few days passed at my father's work. They offered him a job in Tokyo. They said they would pay him more and that we would move. After some time looking for a house or apartment to live in. We packed our things, I said goodbye to my friends that I had at the academy, among them Bitsuda and Motohama, my only 2 friends who were with Maigo. And to his surprise among them was the biggest pervert and lover of yaoi Kiryuika. And why did she become my friend? Izuku didn't like her, he even insulted her for her perversion, and besides that he saved her on a few occasions with those gang members. There was also Kiyomade, the captain of the tennis club. She used to get close to me even though sometimes I tried to push her away, but in the end she insisted on hanging out with me, but oh well. But well, I said goodbye to them and my family and I moved to Tokyo. End of Issei's narration. Issei. And well, this has been the prologue hitches. Chapter 1. I am the Ronin. We can see someone sitting inside what appeared to be a car. The subject had a mask of what appeared to be a kitsune fox on his face. Wearing a suit made of a stretchy bodysuit with a vest with colorful details attached to a pair of flexible fabric gloves with protectors on the knuckles. A pair of elasticated trousers, also with leg protectors. And running shoes with the same type of protectors on the feet and heel for long runs on uneven terrain. Wearing a black trench coat over his suit. But the detail that she has two pigtails behind her hair. Well, it was our favorite chestnut Issei Haidu. And now we see him look out the window of the transport where he was and then play with his hand raising and lowering it and then see that on the roof of the vehicle there is a piece of gum stuck and then put his index finger and thumb grabbing it and then see him try to peel it off and see that the gum remained on the reader screen and when he sees the gum on the screen, he decides to remove it. And leave the screen clean. Issei. I feel a little lonely back here. Issei spoke to the driver of the vehicle only to realize that it was a taxi driver. Taxi driver. Okay. The taxi driver spoke while Issei tried to get into the front seat of the vehicle. Taxi driver. I must keep my hands on the wheel. He spoke again only to see Issei trying to accommodate himself and managing to sit down. Issei. Ready much better. Taxi. Kasuga, Kinjiro Kasuga. The now mentioned Kinjiro showed up offering his hand in greeting and Issei takes it to give him a hand pattern. Issei. Haidu, Issei Haidu. Kinjiro. A pleasure, and tell me young Haidu is going to a cosplay conference or something like that. The taxi driver asks to have a chat with our protagonist. Issei. You say that because of the suit, not at all, I'm actually looking for some bad guys who did very bad things. Kinjiro. Oh really, what do you do then? Issei. What I mentioned before, I hunt bad guys. Kinjiro. So you're some kind of superhero. Issei. Don't say that word again because I hate it for no reason. Kinjiro. Ah okay, sorry I won't say it again by the way, he found out that the supernatural world existed. Issei. Yes, he lost. Kinjiro. Can you believe that all this time everything was real, the stories that were told to us when we were children are now real? Issei. Yes, that is horrible, the truth is. Kinjiro. Especially since we now know that the murders and disappearances of people were the work of the renegade demons. Issei. Yes, since I also hunt renegade demons. Kinjiro. Seriously, so you're in the entourage of some high-class devil? Issei. No, I work alone, although I have some contacts. Kinjiro. I see you mentioned that you were hunting bad guys, did they do something to you? Issei. Yeah, something like that. Kinjiro. And what did they do to you? Issei. They used me as a guinea pig to experiment on me in a secret laboratory. Kinjiro. Really? Issei. Yes, they injected me with all kinds of strange things, they even tortured me, or you could even call it that or I don't know. Kinjiro. That sounds horrible. Issei. Lose. Kinjiro. And your parents? Issei. I don't want to talk about it, but they are fine since I don't want to expose them to danger. Issei spoke seriously about what he said about his parents, since he cares a lot about them and doesn't want anything bad to happen to them. Meanwhile elsewhere. We can see what appeared to be an aerial shot and several men could be seen in the place, but one of them looked different because he was dressed in a lab coat, which indicated that he was a scientist. Then you see several magic circles appear and in those circles you could see several legs, but among them someone appeared in a circle, implying that he is the leader of the group. And then the man in the white scientist's coat speaks. They sure took their time coming. Leader. Let's leave that aside, besides what about our deal, you know very well that Rizavam-sama expects you to fulfill your part since he has been providing you with what is necessary for your experiments. About that, what happens is that there is a slight problem. Leader. Don't come with excuses like that. He would be interrupted when the scientist grabbed the leader by the neck and his companions who accompanied him were on guard as were those of the scientist. Listen, you idiot demon, I am aware that Rizavam offers me resources for my experiments, and the little problem with our deal is that I already have the formula for creating an invincible army of soldiers. The problem is that said formula was in a specimen that escaped, and now it has been giving me problems for the last few months. He said as he squeezed the leader of the group tighter, informing us that he was a demon, and then let go, and we saw him fall to the ground and start coughing due to being strangled. And then the scientist speaks again. So you know once I get my problem resolved I will fulfill my part of the deal, okay? Leader. Alright, we will inform Rizavum-sama of this, but don't expect him to be happy about the reason for your delay. Or you'll see, he won't be bothered by the specimen, and besides that when he recovers the formula he will thank me as much as Rizavum as you, let's go. At the end the scientist shouted to his men to start getting into their vehicles in which they were transported to the site and see that one by one they left. Both the leader and his companions just watched as the vehicles drove away. Leader. Damn human. The leader cursed and then disappeared from the place with a magic circle, and the same happened to his companions. With Issei. We can see our masked chestnut following in the taxi in front of the driver. Issei. And tell me how long you've been a taxi driver. Tanjiro. Not much, actually, since I started a month ago. Issei. Oh, and you've done well. Tanjiro. Well, sort of, since there are times where I carry passengers and they get a little affectionate while I'm driving. Issei. Wow, that's awkward. Tanjiro. Yes, but with time you get used to it. Issei. Makes sense, stop here. Out of fright, Tanjiro hit the brakes and the taxi stopped suddenly. Tanjiro. This is where you want me to leave you. Issei. Yes, here it is. Tanjiro. In that case it would be 750 yen. Issei, upon hearing the price, searched his wallet in his pockets and then searched for money to pay and saw that he pulled out a 1000 yen bill. Issei. You have change for 1000. Tanjiro. So sure, here you go. Tanjiro said, stinking up the bill and giving the 250 yen back to the brown-haired boy. Issei. Thanks Tanjiro, have a nice day. Tanjiro. I hope all goes well for you on your adventures, Issei. I speak Tanjiro and then leave the place. And now we can see Issei sitting on a railing listening to music. Thanks to a small speaker that even though it was small the music was heard loud and clear, and on the side there was a small tape that said Issei. Imagine with the tape. In the middle of a highway where many vehicles were passing by, while he was sitting we can see him playing on his cell phone. Issei enjoyed listening to the music while playing by moving her legs and head to the rhythm of the music. Then he turns to the screen and sees the readers and takes off his mask. Issei. Oh, hello, how are you? I hope you are all well. I speak happily to the readers. They find it strange that I talk to them or that, ha, ha, ha. I throw a small stream of grace. Calm down, I know you have a lot of questions or well maybe not, because I don't think many will read this chapter, but well what can you do, anyway I have a lot of things to do, to seek revenge and, bad guys to kill. I speak Issei to see a group of vehicles. And in that we can see 4 of the passengers. Implying that they are workers of the person that Issei seeks to end his life. And we go back to Issei to put her mask back on and see what stands up. Issei. As Deadpool says, maximum effort. Issei spoke only to see him start to fall from his right place. While a body could be seen being dragged along the road, a car approached and several men could be seen inside the vehicle, and then they took out their weapons. And Issei seeing that, with his other foot free while the other had the driver immobilized, he turns the steering wheel, causing him to roll over, and while the car turned on the road, we can see that inside the vehicle, both Issei and his enemies were seen moving up and down due to the movement of the vehicle rolling. And then we can see the motorcyclist driving his motorcycle as the car was approaching from behind and he takes out his gun to shoot, but then Issei in the roof window holds the motorcyclist by the pants. Only to see the vehicle in slow motion, and while that was happening we could see the men who were aboard said vehicle get out and see that certain death awaited them. And in that we can see Issei head first into the car window. Issei. Yeah, mothers, what time did I have to pick up my daughter at daycare? And saying that everything goes back to fast motion and you see the car turning sharply killing the guys whose bodies came out onto the road, and while the car kept turning one of the guys went flying and crashed into a highway sign, and because of the speed he was going his body was left well you know what. And so it continued until the car stopped spinning and was on its side. All the cars that were on the road stopped, some passengers did not get out, but others got out, but carrying weapons. The passengers who were there seeing several armed men, got out of their respective cars in panic, screaming and running for fear of losing their lives. And so until all the civilians escaped and only Issei and the armed men remained, and from the overturned car, you could see that one of the car's windows miraculously came out unscathed, rolled down completely, and Issei was looking out. Issei. Hey Issei let out a childish scream as the men started shooting for a while, and seeing that they stopped so as not to waste bullets, and they looked at each other to see who was ahead, and one of them started to move little by little, and in that. Issei. They wait. Issei raised his hands and the men raised their weapons ready to fire. Issei. Maybe you're wondering why the black trench coat, it's so the bad guys can see me and I look cool. That one over there understands the concept, he has a black leather jacket. Issei said, pointing at the guy in the jacket, and he saw his garment and then shot at Issei, and Issei lowered his arms to avoid being shot. Issei. Okay, I think it's time to stop talking and start with the action, let's see how many bullets are enough to kill them. He said, drawing two weapons. Two pistols named Castle and Jackal. Then we see in slow motion that Issei jumped to the side to shoot with Jackal, and then we see that on the bullet casing you could see a number 12, and then he does a somersault and shoots with Castle, and on the casing, it had the number 11. Hitting two of the men in front in the head, dying instantly, and then seeing Issei fall from behind the vehicle and take cover. And then the men started shooting while someone was seen driving a motorcycle approaching the battle site and holding a weapon in his hand, an MP5 submachine gun, and upon reaching where Issei was, he shot without hesitation at our brown-haired masked man, and you could see that he hit him in the forearm and see that the motorcyclist stopped. Issei. Oh, shit. Issei looked at his forearm and saw that the bullet wound was no longer there, but there was a hole in the sleeve of his trench coat, and Issei, seeing that, gets angry, while the motorcyclist turns to where the brown-haired boy was. Issei. Son of a hitch. Issei saw the motorcyclist turning back and he started shooting with a Castle. Issei 10. The motorcyclist was seen to have dodged a bullet. Issei. Shit, 9. He shot again, but this time Jackal, and again the motorcyclist dodged a bullet, and when he was close to Issei he began to shoot. Issei. Damn 8. I shot with a Castle, but this time the bullet missed and the motorcyclist left. Issei gets frustrated. Issei. Mother bore. Issei ran to the crashed vehicle to jump, and with his hands he leaned on the doors to turn and fall to the other side, and then with Jackal he aimed at the motorcyclist, but he moved away little by little. Issei. Runs Malo. Issei said the same thing when he saw the motorcyclist leave the place, and then one of the armed men could be seen walking stealthily without realizing that Issei saw him, and with Castle he shot him in the head. Issei. 7. Ronin Bueno. Issei said after shooting the guy, but then he lowers his head because he heard some shots, and then he started to run ahead jumping into a car, well one of the men shot at him, then he jumps and does a somersault to fall and take cover, well the guy shot and see that the gun was no longer firing, implying that he had to reload. The man takes cover, but then sees Issei leaning out of a window of a vehicle where he took cover to look for the guy, and the guy began to reload his weapon, and Issei, seeing him through the window, gives a comical scream. And the guy started shooting, hitting the car window just before he hit Issei, as he ducked just in time for the bullets to hit him, and then saw the car window shatter instantly. The guy continued to disperse the car to start moving and climb onto the hood of the car, and only see Issei posing on the ground lying down. And the guy aims to shoot only to be surprised that his gun is out of bullets. Issei. Someone isn't counting. 6. Issei shot the guy with Jackal, and he fell dead because Issei hit him in the head, and that without aiming. Then we can see two men moving and taking cover. Issei peeks out and barely manages to see one of them, and then see him take something out of his vest, and then one of the two gets into position to shoot while the other is about to throw something. Just to see that a ring was seen on the guy's thumb, implying that it was a grenade. Issei leaves his spot and manages to see that the guy was carrying a grenade in his hand, so he raises his Castle weapon and sees that the bullet casing has the number 5 and sees that it hits the grenade, exploding it instantly and killing the guy as well as his partner. Issei. Oh, ye baby. Shot. Some shots were heard and one of them hit Issei, and he got on his knees and then fell to the ground. Just to see what one of the men who came with them was about, the guy carefully approached the fallen body of the masked man in case he was attacked by surprise, but then. Issei. 4. Bam. Another shot was heard, but this time it was Issei who also came from behind with a Castle. Issei. Teddy. Issei stands up without any problem. Issei. Yuhi, it hit me in the butt almost near the anus. Nah, it's not true, but I love this healing factor, long live me. Issei approaches the body of the guy who shot him, and with Castle he shoots. Issei. 3.2 more on MMM, it was worth it. At that point Issei heard gunshots and saw that 3 other armed men had appeared, and then he ran to the side and took cover. They stopped shooting and approached one by one, determined to attack where our masked man was taking cover. Little by little they approached, but then Issei appeared on the other side of them doing somersaults in the air to aim with Jackal, hitting the 3 guys since they were in a row, and the bullet pierced the 3 guys, falling dead instantly. Only to see the bullet casing fall to the ground and have the number 1, and then a bell is heard. Issei could be seen in front of the reader, and then he begins to inhale heavily and exhale. Issei. 12 bullets were exactly enough to kill all of you. Issei said, and then saw him jump in place. Issei. Lyra, 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 Nitsuri, Nitsuri. Issei said, jumping childishly and approaching a car with a door open, then closing it with his hip and then opening it without seeing that there was no one. Issei. But what, bucking shit, where are you, Sadami Nitsuri? Issei shouted the name of the person he was looking for and then saw one of the men get up and Issei could hear him get up and then make complaining sounds and turn around to then see the guy standing. Issei. You are not here. The guy seeing Issei speaks. Man. You bucking disgusting human. Issei, wait, you were a demon. Issei spoke asking about the guy. Demon? Yes, and now I'm going to kill you. The demon said, making a magic circle appear to fire a magic sphere, but in that Issei at an indescribable speed was behind the demon holding a katana in his hand. Then we see him sheath his katana, which is named Yamato. And then you could see the demon's head fall to the ground and die. At that time stops and Issei's voice is heard. Issei. Yes, I know. I'm sure you're wondering why I have a sword that many of you know. Well, let's say it was a gift from someone, and you might also wonder why we are in the middle of the action before what happened in the prologue of the story. Well, it is to tell you that in this story it will originate how one of the variants of all the Issei's haikus, was affected by a pillar from another universe. But I must tell you that. Up to here this chapter hitches. Chapter 2. My New Life in Tokyo. Now we can see Issei along with his parents Miki and Goru in their new house. Issei. Odo-san, Oka-san, exactly how much did this house cost? Miki. Oh, actually we were able to get it at a good price in real estate. Issei. Seriously, well if you say so. Goru. Did you think the company would give it away for my new job? Issei. If that had been the case, believe me, I would have been paralyzed by surprise. Goru. Well, if that's the case, just wait, what was the job they offered me? Issei. I'm curious now, tell me what position they offered you at your job. Goru. Well, I'm a company chief officer. Issei. J boss Fufuk Tioneri. Goru. It's a day like this, surprising isn't it? Issei. Miki. Issei. Goru. Son, are you okay? Miki. Honey, I think we already lost him. Goru. Son, react. Several minutes later. Now we can see the Haidu family inside their new home in Tokyo. Miki. Well, we just have to wait for the moving truck. Goru. Yes, they said they would arrive in an hour. In the meantime, Issei, why don't you go up and choose your new room, your mother, and I will look for a school to enroll you. Issei. Okay. Miki. Here, take the copy of the key in case you are going out, but remember to arrive before the truck comes, okay? Issei. Lower Oka-san. Goru. Well then we're leaving. I speak Goru holding a folder in his hand, implying that these are the pails needed to enroll Issei in a school. While the brown-haired boy's parents left, Issei began to explore his new house, going through the living room then to the kitchen, and then going to see the bathrooms near the living room to leave the place and head towards the stairs and see some doors in the hallways, and there will be one. Issei enters the empty room and watches him for a few brief moments. Issei. It's not bad, really. Issei went a little deeper to do the following. Issei. Quackity, pay the server please, I want to save an egg and I can't because you're busy without paying the server. Issei said, dancing, and then stopped and told the readers. Issei. That was my interpretive dance, but oh well, I'll go explore. I hope I don't get lost, because if that happens my mother would kill me if I don't get there before the moving truck. Issei said to leave the empty room, go down the stairs and reach the main door of the house, and then open it and lock it. Issei walked around the neighborhood for a while, going around several corners, but memorizing the way when he had to return. Issei continued walking until he saw a small playground where several small children could be seen playing, and some adults in the area, implying that they are the parents of some of those children who are there to take care of them. Issei looked at the view in front of him for a while before walking again, and after a while he could see that he had reached the center of the city. Issei could see several shops and several people walking around the place, but he could see what a mask shop was like. Issei got a little curious, so he decided to go in and was picked up by the seller. Seller. Oh, a customer, welcome, we can help you. Issei. I'm just observing, but if I see something that catches my attention I'll call you accordingly. Salesman. It's okay, take your time, young man. Issei walked around the store looking at all kinds of masks. Until one caught his attention. A totally white mask with no details or anything, just a simple white mask. Issei decides to take her to the ATM, since for some strange reason he liked it. Issei. How much for this mask? Seller. That one, the truth is that I never got to sell it, but I'll leave it to you for 500 yen. Issei. Really, 500 yen? Seller. Yes, I have no problem letting you have it at that price, and besides, I was planning to throw it in the trash. Issei. If that's the case, then take it. Issei gives the 500 yen to the seller and leaves the place. Seller. Thank you for your purchase, please come back soon. Issei was seen leaving the store with the mask in his hand and he decided to put it on. Issei. Not bad, it's my size, it'll be better to go home and wait for the moving truck. Issei spoke while wearing his mask on the streets of Tokyo. Some people looked at him strangely, but he didn't pay attention to them and continued on his way back home. Already returning from his new house, he puts his mask in a place to store it later, and after a while, and seeing that there is still time for the Issei truck to arrive, he decides to look for something to entertain himself. Issei. What are you doing? And if I dance for a while I might be alone, well except for you guys. Targeting readers. Issei. Let's see. Issei said while searching for music on his phone. Issei. Oh, I think this will be good to start with. Issei, upon hearing the music for a few minutes, begins to dance as follows. After a while of finishing the music, Issei took a little break. Issei. That was fun, let's see what else. Issei said while browsing his cell phone. Issei. I haven't danced this one the last time. I remember when I did it with that guy to get information, although I was a little cruel to him. He deserved it, come and give it to him. Issei after finishing the dance and continuing with the final pose says. Issei. Gosh, how I would like to dance this again with Mitsuda and Motohama, the truck should be arriving, well, one last dance, and that's it. Issei said, taking his phone again to search for another song. Issei. I think I'll dance this last one. After dancing, a bell is heard in the indicated place, which is the chestnut tree's house. Issei. I am sure of the change. Issei spoke to go to the door, and when he opened it, he saw a man in a uniform and with a cap on his head. Man. Hey, hello, are your parents here? Issei. No, but, in fact they are right there. Issei spoke seeing that his parents returned. Boru. I imagine you're moving company, right? Man. Yes sir, and could you sign here please? Boru. Sure. I signed a paper. Man. Well, we'll start unloading all the cargo. Guys, let's unload. The man shouted to see which two more men would get off the truck and start unloading several boxes and furniture. Several hours later. Now we see the family having dinner at a table because it was already night and the house was already somewhat organized because there were still some things to organize in the new house of the Haidu family. Mickey. And tell me, Issei, have you done something that we weren't there? Issei. I explored the house for a while and then went out to get to know the place better. Mickey. I see, and what did you see while you were leaving? Issei. Well, there is a playground a few blocks away. Boru. Really? Issei. Then I went through other streets and ended up going to what is the center of the city or something like that, honestly. Mickey. I imagine you saw some stores there. Issei. Yes, I actually saw a mask store and ended up buying one. Boru. Seriously, and how much did it cost you for that? Issei. 500 yen. Boru. Mickey. Why yen 500? Issei. Yes, in fact, the owner of the place said that he was planning to throw it away because no one wanted to buy it. Mickey. I see. Issei. And about school? Boru. Well, we saw one around there and we found more or less the closest one, and in 4 days you will start. Issei. I see, I'll try not to cause trouble. Mickey. We know you will do it. Issei. Well, I'm done, I'll wash the dish and I'll go to my new room. Issei spoke to get up from the table and take the plate to the kitchen and start washing his plate. After finishing he leaves the place to go up the stairs. Mickey. Do you think he'll be okay at his new school? Boru. Why do you say that? Mickey. Goru, don't you remember everything Issei told us before coming here? Boru. Yes, I remember. Mickey. Look, I don't care what trouble he gets into or what, but… Boru interrupts her. Boru. I know he's our only son after that, you already know. Mickey. Yes, Issei was just trying to protect us from the gang members who attacked him, but now I will do everything possible to protect him. Boru. You are not alone, dear, remember that I am with you too. He said, Goru hugging his wife like this. But this we see our chestnut tree in the window of his room watching the night. Issei. Well, here I am in Tokyo, for my father's new job, who is a chief civil servant. Well, what crazy things await me here in Tokyo? Well, we'll see in the next chapter. Issei. And this is the second chapter, Hitches. Chapter 3. Father and son time. We can see our chestnut tree on a not so tall building observing the view he saw of the city. Issei. What a beautiful place. Looking at the readers. Hello, how are you? I know you're wondering how I got to this point if I live very far away, right? It was simple thanks to that. Issei. Yes, I know what you're going to say, Issei, how come you have a bike like that? Simple, remember that I mentioned that there was a gang that tried to recruit me? Well, I didn't join them, but I got along well with them, especially with their leader, who is her. Showing a photo on your phone. Issei. Senju Akashi, that's his name, and please don't ask about the photo, really don't ask, because I don't want to talk about the subject, and if you're one of those who hate me, and you're going to say there you're sure to have it for blah blah blah, look you piece of deformed homunculus, come back from the SOY where you were born and you're going to lick your progenitor's balls. Shout out to the end Issei for those who hate him for no reason. Issei. Well, the bike was a farewell gift from her. At first she didn't want to accept it because it was made with some motorcycle parts from a junkyard, and in that junkyard there were some motorcycle parts that were still usable, and they managed to build the bike that I showed them, and somehow she convinced me to have it, and also because it was she personally who taught me to drive it after. Getting the license, of course. Showing your driver's license. Issei. Also my parents know about the bike and they let me use it, and that's why I'm here in this place, but well, time to go back. Issei said as he got on his motorcycle to turn it on. Issei. Children, always remember to wear a helmet when riding a motorcycle. He says to put on his helmet and leave the place Issei traveled the roads with his wall while listening to his music. Issei rode through the streets of Tokyo on her motorcycle, seeing buildings and local businesses, stopping at red lights and moving on when they were green, and enjoying riding her motorcycle while listening to her music. And so it continued for a while until he arrived at his new home. Issei. Today May. Mickey. Oh son, you're back. I'm glad. Your father wants to talk to you. Issei. I see, where is it? Mickey. In the living room waiting for you. Issei. Well, I'll go now. Issei heads to the living room of his house and sees his father sitting on the living room couch, and he lies on another armchair in front of his father. Boru. Hello son, you know why you are here, right? Issei. Mom told me, did something happen? Boru. No, it's nothing, I just wanted to propose something to you. Issei. And that would be it. Boru. Let's go out together and spend time with each other later. Issei. Yes, of course, I have no problem. Boru. Perfect, then let's go out after lunch, do you think? Issei. Sure, just let me know when we're not going. Issei spoke, getting up from the chair, and Goru just watched as his son left. After lunch it was approximately 2:35 in the afternoon. And Issei was seen leaving his house, and then Goru appeared ready to leave. Boru. Okay, I'm all set. Issei. Yes, I am. Boru. Well then let's go. I finished speaking Goru to start walking through the streets of the neighborhood for a while and then go to where several local shops were located. Boru. And tell me Issei, how do you feel about this? Issei. What do you mean? Boru. I mean everything, moving here to Tokyo for my new job, your new school, and you know about your gang thing. Issei. Oh well, the move and your promotion was something unexpected, I don't really know about the new school, and for the moment I'm enjoying the peace and quiet. Boru. What do you mean, for the moment of tranquility? Issei. Dad, I don't know how far I'll be calm since I don't want to affect you like mom because of the gang members. Boru. I know, since you said that you inadvertently prevented those gangsters from attacking us. Issei. I know, they only attacked me so I don't understand why I should go after you. Boru. Hey, calm down Issei, look, we appreciate that you took care of us from them, look, why don't we go into that cafeteria, it looks really good. Issei. Okay. Issei and his father Goru entered the place and looked for a table to serve them. After a few seconds a waiter served them. Waiter. Good afternoon, what can I help you with? Goru looking at the menu just orders a coffee. Goru. Bring me a coffee please, and what would you like, Issei? Issei just looked at the menu for a few seconds until he saw something on the menu that caught his attention. Issei. Excuse me, but it says here that they serve cheesecake, is that true? Waiter. That's right young man, we can offer you a slice of cheesecake, would you like? Issei asks for it without hesitation. Issei. Please. Waiter. Then please wait for your order to arrive. The waiter answered to leave the table. Boru. You really like cheesecake, huh? Issei. It's the best dessert for me you know. Boru. I know, listen to this. Issei. Yes daddy. Boru. In Kuo there was always talk of a young man who ended up with gangs. Issei. Sip. Boru. And most of those gangs always sold drugs in the city, they even sexually abused girls, isn't that right? Issei. Yep. Boru. And some of them became involved in white slavery. Issei. That's how it looks. Boru. You were that boy, right? Issei. Sigh. Yes, that's right. Boru. I see, so my son not only protected us, but also the city, did you want to be a superhero? I speak Goru with mockery at the end. Issei. Don't talk nonsense, dad. Boru. What did you say? Issei. I admit that I was responsible for what you said about the gangsters and the crimes they committed, and in case you think that I have some stupid super suit or something, then forget it. Boru. So you only fought by showing your face or what? Why was nothing said about your identity? Issei. I wore clothes so they wouldn't recognize me. Boru. If you say so, and tell me, do you still have those clothes? Issei. She's at home if you want, after this I'll show her to you. Before both chestnuts continued their wave, the waiter arrived with both of their orders. Waiter. Here is a coffee, sir, and for you, young man, a cheesecake. Issei sees his cheesecake and takes his spoon fork to start eating his favorite dessert. Issei enjoyed his dessert happily and Goru, like Issei, enjoyed his coffee. Boru. And tell me, is your cheesecake good? Issei. Of course yeah. Issei said happily about his dessert. Boru. By the way, I also heard the rumors that they were talking about you. Issei. What kind of rumors are those that exaggerate or those that most of them are true? Boru. Well, it has been heard that you were trained by a former Japanese military officer, is that true? Issei. They are right, and besides that ex-military man was a vagrant who lived on the streets. Boru. Ah, and I'm sure the old clothes he had were for the certain one. Issei. Yes, since I helped him find a job. Boru. And do you know anything about him? I mean, how has he been doing? Issei. Well, he is recovering financially well, he lives in a small rental apartment, but he is doing well. Eating a slice of her cheesecake. Boru. I'm glad to hear that, but how did you meet? Issei. I used to give him some coins or something to eat whenever I could, and one day a group of gang members were about to attack, and since there were too many he was passing by and did not hesitate to help me fight and hide the rest. Boru. I see. Hey, I also heard that you used to execute them with some techniques called blazon. What is that? Issei. These are techniques I learned. Boru. Really? Issei. Yes, I better not tell him about the dream warrior. Issei spoke mentally. Boru. I understand others said that those who looked into your eyes fell to the ground, is that true? Issei. Well, I don't know how to explain that to you because it only happened a few times. Boru. Seriously? Issei. As I said, I don't know how to explain it since some people really didn't understand it and I don't even know how I did it. The only thing I know is that it only works when I'm angry. Boru. It's okay Issei, I believe you. Issei. If you say so. I speak Issei and see that your cheesecake is already finished. Issei. It looks like it's over. Boru. I see, well I'll ask for the bill and we'll leave and continue with our walk. I speak Goru to then see that he calls the waiter and ask for the bill and pay Goru. I pay what they ordered. Now we can see Issei and Goru leaving the premises and starting to walk through the streets. Boru. Issei, I also heard that you could disappear, is that true? Issei. Do you want to see it? Boru. Huh. Issei. Just observe. Boru stood still as Issei walked away a bit to see what was happening in a crowd of people walking on the streets and then. Boru couldn't believe what he just saw, it seemed like it wasn't real. Boru. Issei. Issei appears next to his father. Issei. I'm here. Boru. Woo, you scared me so much, how did you do that? Issei. It's something that took me a long time to learn, but I was able to master it. Boru. I see, by the way I also heard that you had a dog taking care of you. Issei. His name was Sticky. Boru. Sticky. Issei. Yes, I saved him when a group of idiots were about to drown some puppies in a river. I faced them but I couldn't save the puppies in time. Only Sticky survived and his brothers didn't have the same luck. Boru. And what happened to him? Issei. Do you remember that everything was because of Izuku Midoriya? Boru. The new Chinese truth. Issei. Somehow he found out about my dog Sticky and had the great idea of killing him, but since he didn't want to dirty his hands, he ordered one of the gangs that he paid to attack me, and you already know how they ended up. Boru felt bad seeing how his son became sad when he reminded him of his dog Sticky. Boru. I'm sorry about your dog Sticky, son. Issei. I know dad, besides he wasn't the only one who calmed me down when I was about to lose control. Boru. Yes, I remember that you told us that at some points in your fights, Sticky always stopped you, isn't that true? Issei. Yes, that's how it was. Boru. Tell me one thing, by any chance did the gang members who attacked you think about recruiting you? Issei. Some of them tried, others wanted to recruit me by force, but it ended badly. Boru. I understand what you mean. Issei. Even though I became friends with one of them, especially the leader. Boru. Really? Issei. Yes, and don't worry, I didn't join them because the leader of the gang was understanding with me. If I tell him that the leader of the Brahmin gang is a girl, he won't stop bothering me, the brown-haired boy thought at the end. Boru. I see, one last thing, it's true that you saved girls who were about to be sexually abused, but many of them already were. Issei. Yes, and some of them were kidnapped, being daughters of some yakuzas and other gangs. Boru. Daughters of some yakuzas. Issei. Yes, and if I told you there was one in special. Boru. Special, what do you mean by special? Issei. Tell me, did you hear on the news in Kuo that the daughter of the police station chief was kidnapped? Boru. If that was a long time ago, don't tell me that. Issei. Yes, I was also responsible for his rescue, but I left the place so as not to attract attention. Hey, I noticed that you're quiet, what's going on? Bolsho Issei did not hear his father's footsteps and only saw him standing in place, and you could see that he was all white. Issei. Dad, hey dad, you're okay. Issei screamed when he saw his father's condition, and when he saw that he didn't react, he decided to take him home in the following way. Issei. Don't say a single bucking word of agreement. I speak Issei to the readers. Issei. Good at full speed. Issei began to run while clouds of dust could be seen in a comical way. Already arriving home, Issei takes his father to the room he shares with his mother, and Issei's mother, seeing the state of her husband, asks. Mickey, for God's sake, what happened to your father? Issei. Let's say I surprised him so much that he's like this. I'll go to my room. If you need me for anything, call me. Mickey. They're fine Issei, and I hope your father gets better. Issei nodded and went to his room. Issei. Sigh, why did I tell him? Looking at the reader. Issei. Well, I think we'll leave it here so another chapter less hitches. Chapter 4. Quality time with mom. We can see Issei in the living room watching TV, flipping through channels. Issei. Damn, nothing good here on TV. Issei turns off his TV as he sees nothing to entertain himself. Issei. I'm so bored what do I do? That's when Mickey, her mother, appears. Mickey. Son, would you like to go out with me to do some shopping and at the same time buy your new uniform for your new school? Issei. Sure, I've been getting bored here anyway. Mickey. Okay, just get changed and let me know when you're done, okay? Issei. Dien. Issei heads to his room to change his clothes. Issei. I'm ready, Mom. Mickey. Isn't that the clothes you used to wear when you went out so that you wouldn't be recognized when you were fighting outside and that kept us protected from the gang members? Issei. Yes, in fact, these are the clothes I used for what you said, but I think I won't use them anymore since, well, you know. Mickey. Well, it doesn't matter, and by the way, what a good style. Issei. Thanks. Mickey. Okay, let's go. Issei and his mother Mickey leave the house, close the door of their house, and head out to walk through the streets. Issei. And what are your plans today? Mickey. Well, we'll go shopping at the supermarket since there are offers and sales, and then go buy your new uniform and some school supplies. Issei. Well then let's go to the supermarket, right? Mickey. It's okay. So mother and son walked together through the streets of Tokyo until they saw that they had reached their destination. Mickey. Okay, let's go in. Issei followed his mother and she takes a shopping cart and they enter the store and they walk through the aisles of the place, seeing various types of products such as food, cleaning products for both personal and home, fruits and vegetables, some edible products such as onage iris, American sandwiches, things that a supermarket has. After a while Mickey and Issei found themselves in an aisle of all kinds of sweets in those aisles, that when you shop with your mom and she asks her to buy you something and she says no, but you could see that the cart that had some products in it, Mickey speaks. Mickey. Son, could you go get some milk and grab some lettuce on the way? Issei. Of course, no problem. Mickey. Oh, and bring a bag of peppers too. Issei. If mommy goes calmly. Issei went to look for what his mother asked for, and we can see that he walked through the halls of the place to look for the places where what his mother needed was. Issei. Nah, the baby drinks Lin and drinks whiskey and drinks Truski and smokes a whiskey. And that Issei literally smokes a whiskey, and Issei addresses the readers. Issei. Don't ask how I'm smoking a whiskey, don't ask. Then he knocks over the whiskey bottle and you can hear the classic angry cat meowing and sounds of broken things in the background. But Issei didn't care and continued his search while singing a song. Issei. Homework here and paint me, a glass mirror and look at you. And in that Issei sees a refrigerator that had several liquid products such as juices in cartons, soft drinks and most importantly milk, and Issei takes a carton. Issei. Well, here is the shell now for the lettuce. Issei takes the carton of milk in his hand and heads to get some lettuce and a bag of peppers. Issei. Shadow here and shadow there and put makeup on a glass mirror and look at you. Now Issei was at a fruit and vegetable stand and he was looking for lettuce and peppers. Issei. Here is the lettuce and now where are the peppers? Ah, there they are. Taking the bag and going back to where her mother is with the things she asked for. Issei was walking through the aisles of the supermarket looking for his mother until he found her. Issei. I'm back. Putting things in the cart. Mickey. Thanks son, this will be enough, let's go pay for this at the checkout. Issei. Alright, let's go. Issei and Mickey went to the checkout to pay for their purchases, and when they arrived they saw a small line of people waiting their turn to be charged for their purchases, some were carrying many things, others just a few. Issei. This is going to take a long time. Mickey. You're right son, can I ask you something? Issei. Yes, of course, is something wrong? Mickey. Don't worry, I just wanted to ask you something while we were in Kuo. Issei. Of course, tell me what you want. Mickey sighs something that seemed heavy and then speaks. Mickey. I heard on the news that there were girls who, well, some were victims of sexual abuse and others almost were, and that it was an anonymous being who saved them. Do you have something to do with it? Issei. I saved some from being about to be abused and others, well, you know. Mickey. Tell me how it started. Issei. At first when the gang members attacked me none of them seemed to be abusers until one day someone asked me for help. Mickey. Can you tell me? Issei. It was just another normal day for me, you know the usual, but one afternoon a student from another school came to me to help him. At first I thought it would be another gang trap sending anyone to attack me, but this time it wasn't like that. Mickey. Why? Mickey said as she moved as the line of people began to advance a little, while Issei continued with his story. Issei. That boy kept insisting on me so I decided to listen to him, but I warned him that he would lead me into a trap and he wouldn't be affected by what happened either. We went to a nearby cafeteria and he told me about his situation. There was a bully who harassed the students. At first I wanted to refuse and get involved in their business but Mickey, who was listening attentively to the story his son was telling, asked. Mickey. But. Issei. Sigh no, I didn't expect that abuser was a bastard rapist, he was also someone violent since his violence made everyone kneel before him since he was a member of a judo club. Besides that I heard that in his first year he already had the club at his mercy, I even heard that some lost the opportunity to be great athletes and some members have appeared injured and others were sent to the hospital. He showed me photos where he sexually abused the girls, others where they seemed to be playing cards, but in reality those games were bets of 1 or 2, but it also has another name. Mickey. Another name? Issei. If it was called the finger casino, the loser had to pay the bet by breaking 1 or 2 fingers of the hands. Mickey couldn't believe what his son was hearing. Mickey. Did you really do that? Issei. The evidence was clear, it didn't seem to be a montage or edited, it was authentic. At first I had doubts, but I decided to help the boy. I used to watch him and follow him to the Hiba for a few days, obviously with the clothes I'm wearing. Mickey. I see, and then? Issei. Until one day I saw it with my own eyes. Mickey. What did you see? Issei. The bastard was beating up a girl, obviously I went out to help her and she was also about to be sexually abused. Mickey. Or for heaven's sake. Issei. Don't worry, I managed to save the girl in time, I told her an address to face her, the idiot looked very angry, the only thing he told me was that I had the guts to challenge him, the idiot left, I took the girl to her house and he told me that I was an idiot for challenging him, obviously I didn't listen to him. Mickey. Well son, you must understand that the girl was scared and that nothing would stop that brazen man. Issei. I know after I left was where we would meet, we faced each other at first I played with him letting him hit me the idiot was confident, so much that the bastard smiled thinking that he beat me, but the reality was different I got serious and in the end I showed him who I was. Mickey. What happened after that? Issei. I called an ambulance from the boy's phone when I left him unconscious the next day we reported him with the evidence and all the material that would take him to jail for the rest of his life, obviously I went to the station with these clothes. Mickey. I imagine that with the hood and the mask, true. Issei. If that's the case, they asked me for explanations at the beginning oh look, it's our turn. Issei interrupted his story as it was the mother and son's turn in line. Mickey placed the products little by little. Mickey. I guess that while you were telling me that story, it kept us entertained for so long. Now we can see the mother and son leaving the supermarket again. Mickey. Wow, how good that we're already out and thanks for carrying the rest of the purchases son. He said seeing his son holding some bags in his arms comically as they walked Mickey asks his son. Mickey. And what happened when you reported it? Issei. Ah yes, at first they asked me for explanations and I just told them that the only explanation there was in the evidence folder, then I ran out of the station, then I heard that the police went to the school of the boy who asked me for help. Mickey. Do you happen to remember his name? Issei. His last name was Kurosawa, but he didn't tell me his name. Mickey. I understand, and what happened? Issei. The police interrogated almost half of the school, and the victims confessed everything that happened. In the end, justice was done for those who suffered because of the bastard. Mickey. What was that bastard's name? Issei. Kuga, Daichi Kuga. Mickey. That was his name. Issei. Yes, that was his name. Mickey. I see, well, let's go back home and leave these bags, and then we go out and buy your new uniform for your new school. Issei. Okay. So Issei and his mother Mickey decided to return home and leave the shopping, so that when they return again they can organize it, and so we see the two of them again on the streets of Tokyo, but right now in a store where they sell uniforms, since Mickey had a note with the address of the place to buy the uniform. Once inside the premises they would be received and attended to by a lady. Note. You already know when you go with your mothers to buy one's uniforms, not. Shopkeeper. Good afternoon, how can we help you? Mickey. Hi, I'm coming to buy a new uniform for my son who will start school in 2 days. Shopkeeper. Of course, and what school is it from? Mickey. PK Academy. Shopkeeper. Wow, that's a private school. Mickey. Not really. Shopkeeper. Maybe you didn't know. Mickey. Well, it's the first time I've heard it. Issei. Are you telling me that you and dad enrolled me in a private school? Mickey. Well, what can I tell you, son? Issei. Well, what can you do? Shopkeeper. Okay, can you tell me your son's size? Mickey. If your size is. Note. I don't know what size is Issei good or. Shopkeeper. Okay, I'll bring the school uniform. After a while of Issei and Mickey waiting for the brown-haired boy's new uniform, he arrives with said uniform in his size. Shopkeeper. Here it is. Issei tries on the uniform in the locker room, and when he comes out he sees that it fits him. Issei. I'm fine, honestly. Mickey. I think we'll take her. Shopkeeper. You could very well. Issei. Yes, just give me a minute. Issei returned to the locker room and changed the clothes he was wearing. And now we can see mother and son on the streets while Issei was carrying a bag, meaning he is wearing his uniform. Mickey. Okay, now we just have to find some new supplies that we need. Issei. Okay, hey mom, do you want to see around here? Mickey. Oh, I think it's the new stationery store outside the shopping district that's kind of close to here. Issei. Then. Mickey. Yes, why not? Issei and his mother entered the store to buy some new pencils and some notebooks. They already know Japanese supplies that we don't even know about here in Latin America. Now we can see them leaving the premises and returning to the streets of Kuo. Mickey. You know, your father told me that you saved many kidnapped girls and others who were about to be sexually abused, is that true? Issei. Just don't start bothering me. Mickey. So it's true, huh? And tell me, did any of them try to go out with you? Mickey said with a chibi face. Issei. No, and besides, if she had a relationship with a girl, those idiots would go after her, and who knows what they would do to her, but one thing is certain, they wouldn't end up in one piece. Mickey. Well, that's thoughtful of you, and I think I'd understand why, but tell me, what about that gang member girl? Issei. I imagine dad said something about Senju, right? Mickey. She told me something about her and what relationship you had with her. Issei. Well, our relationship was more like best friends. Mickey. Aha. Issei. We got along well, even with his brother I got along well with his older brother Takeomi Akashi. Mickey. Does she have siblings? Issei. Yes, she told me that she has 2 brothers, she is the youngest, but one of them apparently doesn't get along with them. Mickey. I can know who it is. Issei. His brother Harichio Akashi, he is the middle brother. Mickey. I see, and tell me how they met. Issei. I won't tell you. Mickey. What, but why? Issei. Why, I don't want to. Issei addresses the readers. Issei. If you want to know that part of my story, just tell the idiot who is writing right now that maybe he will do it in the form of an OVA or something like that. Author. Hey, why are you insulting me, dude? Issei. Why haven't you updated any of your stories, and I think some of those who follow you are waiting for a new chapter of your stories. Author. Ass, you think it's easy to be a writer. Issei. At least give them some reasons why you don't update, and I think one of your stories is the one they are most looking forward to seeing a new chapter. Author. For those who read this part, tell me what new chapter of my stories you expect more, and we can continue, asshole. Issei. Yes, CC, let's continue. Mickey. But why don't you want to tell me? Issei. Why yes. Mickey. Well, if you don't want to tell me, at least I'd like to know what she's like and, above all, she's pretty. Issei sighs and takes out his phone and shows her the photo that he sent him. Mickey, seeing the girl's photo, is surprised because she did not believe that her son had become friends with a very pretty girl. Mickey. Son, are you sure it's her and not some girl from the internet? Issei. Doubt if you want but it's her. Mickey. Well, okay, I believe you, but you surprise me because, well, before you weren't very popular with the girls, but now look at this boy who looks like he has a grumpy face, somewhat toned, who seems like he wants to pick a fight. Issei. I feel a little hurt. Mickey lets out a light laugh at his son's comment. Mickey. Look, we're home now. Issei and his mother enter their home and head to the table where they are having dinner. Mickey. Help me put away the groceries. Issei. Safe. Issei decided to help his mother put away the groceries from the market they went to earlier, but Mickey asks while putting away some things. Mickey. Son, tell me something, did you say goodbye to her when we left? Issei. Yes, I said goodbye to her just like with her brother Takeomi, and the motorcycle was her gift. Mickey. Ah, so that's why you have that bike. Issei. Okay, I'm done. Call me if you need anything. Mickey. Okay, but I think I'll start making dinner. I'll call you when it's ready. Issei. Again. Issei leaves the kitchen and heads to his room and he enters. Issei. Well, I think we'll leave it here. Up to here this chapter hitches. Chapter 5. First day of school part 1. We can see the family at the entrance of Issei's new school where the parents enrolled him, and while that was happening some students from said school entered for their school day. Some students observed the family, but especially Issei, because simply why was he wearing the mask that he bought in the store? And besides having her usual hairstyle, she decided to go back to her hairstyle, the one with the combed back hair with some strands on her forehead, with the difference that her 2 strands that were seen in her new one were now slightly long. Issei. I guess this is the place. Mickey. Yes, that's right. Issei. Why are you here, Dad? Boru. I'll be leaving in a few minutes as I wanted to see my son at his new school. Issei. I see, thanks for your time. Mickey. I'm sure you'll convince the school principal to let you wear your mask at school because we understand why, but if you need help with it I can. But it would be interrupted. Issei. No, mom, don't bother coming with me. I know I can convince the principal to give me permission to wear this mask at school and in classes. Mickey. If that's the case then I won't interfere. Issei. Well, I think I should go in now. Boru. You're right and I have to go to work now. Issei. Bye mom, bye dad, I'll see you when I get back from class. Issei said to walk towards the entrance of his new school and his mother raises her voice telling him. Mickey. And I'll be waiting for you son. But then Boru yells at his son. Boru. I hope you conquer many girls son. Issei stops at that moment and with a blush on his face, even though thanks to the mask he was wearing, he couldn't be seen and angrily yells at his father. Issei. Don't talk crap, dad damn it. Saying the last thing in a whisper. Mickey on the one hand felt a little embarrassed by the number her husband did, but she had a small laugh, implying that she found it a little funny since as Issei told them that he saved several girls from being sexually assaulted and that some of them were from the academy. He told them that some of them tried to approach him to spend some time with him, but he only told them not to do it since it could expose them to the danger of the gang members wanting to harm them. In other words, Issei had a harem unconsciously, the only difference is that Issei was not in love with any of those girls, even though with Kiyum and Aika, and sometimes with Senju, the thought always crossed his mind about what would happen if he were with one of the 3, but let's not talk about that now, the important thing is to see what our dear protagonist does now. The protagonist was now inside the school and began to walk through the halls of said school. After a while he sees some stairs, but from them he could see a girl carrying a lot of papers and she takes a wrong step causing her to almost fall. Before she falls, Issei catches her in princess style you already know. Girl. I'm sorry for what happened and thank you for not catching me. Issei. Don't worry, the important thing is that you're okay. Issei spoke, carefully lowering the girl so that she was standing, and when he saw that the papers had fallen, he decided to pick them all up and Issei was not far behind, so he decided to help the girl. After a while picking up the papers from the floor Issei asks the girl. Issei. Excuse me but I'm new to this school and I wanted to know where I can go to the principal's office. Girl. Yes, of course, it's down those stairs to the 3rd floor at the back, all the way to the right. Issei. Thank you very much for the information. Girl. With pleasure, oh by the way my name is Minas, Nagisa Minas. Issei. Hi to Issei, a pleasure Minas and thanks for the directions I'm leaving. Minas. See you soon and thanks for helping me Haidu-san. Issei nodded his head and went up the stairs to the 3rd floor and followed the directions given to him by Minas and went to the right hallway and walked straight ahead, but not before attracting the attention of those in the hallway, some teachers and students. After a while Issei arrives at the director's office and knocks on the door. Forward. Issei, having heard the permission, opened the door to meet the director of his new school. Director? Yes, how can I help you? Issei. Well, first of all let me introduce myself, I'm Issei Haidu and I'm new to this school. Director. So you're the son of the Haidu, come sit down. Issei. Thanks. Issei proceeds to take a seat, sitting in front of the director. Detector. And tell me young Haidu who brings you to my office on your first day of school. At that Issei takes off his mask so the director can't see his face and he speaks. Issei. Well as you can see I am using this mask and I wanted to ask you for special permission to be able to use it during the school, even in class. Director. And can I know the reason for requesting this permission from you? Issei sighs and says. Issei. Let's say I'm a very distrustful person. Director. Can you be a little specific? Issei. I don't trust anyone is what I mean. Director. And do you distrust me? Issei. Well I took off my mask, does that answer your question? Director. Well maybe we can come to an agreement since I heard about you at your previous school, you know. Issei. I imagine they surely told him that I am a pervert, a criminal, and I don't know what things they told him. Director. Well, pervert, I think that part is true, but on the other hand, I wanted you to tell me the truth about what happened. Issei. What does it mean? Director. I want to hear your story in Kuo. Issei. Why? Director. Let's say that when you were enrolled here, your former president the president of the student council found out that you were now studying here and sent this letter. The director said searching in his drawer for an envelope that he gives to Issei. Issei. This letter. Director. Yes, in that letter you told me about your situation of what happened in Kuo, and I was curious, so I wanted to be the one who would hear your story coming from you. Issei. Just what happened to me in my life or just what it says in the letter? Director. Well, I'll leave that up to you if you want to tell me what was going on in your life. Issei. Okay, I'll tell you what you want to know, but what I tell you might make you think differently about me. Director. We'll see about that, and about your permission with the mask that's fine, I'll give it to you. Issei. Really? Director. Sure, but with one condition. Issei. Well if you say it like that I'll see what's within my reach. Director. I just ask that once you regain your trust in the world, you will take off that mask and let those you trust see your face, deal? Issei thinks about it for a bit and says. Issei. Deal. Director. Good. At that the director takes a pen and a paper writing on it even having his signature on it, implying that he has permission to wear a mask in his school, and gives it to Issei. Director. Take it with you and show it to the teachers, oh and don't forget to go to the student council of the school, so that they are informed of the permit. Issei. Thank you very much and about talking to you about my story in Kuo. The director interrupts him at that moment. Director. It's okay, don't worry, just tell me when we'll talk and I'll be patient. Issei. Okay, and you know where I can go to the council? Director. Of course it's on the other side of this office. Issei. Ah okay, thanks see you later. Issei said heading to the door to leave but then. Issei. Oh and I promise I won't cause you any trouble sir. Director. It's okay, I hope so. Issei leaves the office closing the door. And the place where the director is left. Director. You were right Sona Citri, he doesn't seem like a bad boy Haya let's see what awaits us at this school. The director said with a smile at the end. Meanwhile with Issei. We can see our masked brown-haired boy again through the school halls as he heads to the student council room of his new school. Issei. Well let's see, according to the director it's over here. Issei said turning around a corner and then he saw himself in front of a door that said student council. Issei. Well let's see who is in charge of this council. Issei knocks on the door. Forward. The voice that seemed to be feminine was heard, which surprised Issei a little. Issei. There I think I feel like I'll see someone similar to Sona Kaichu. He said addressing the readers after that I will open the door to enter the room. Yes, how can I help you? Issei. Well you see, the director told me to give this to you, and besides that I'm new to this school. Issei said, handing over the permission that the director wrote to the student president. And when she sees and reads the director's permission, she asks Issei. Did you ask the director to let you wear that mask that you wear? Issei. Yes, that's right. I see, you mentioned that you were new here right, what school are you from? Issei. I come from the Academy Kuo. The academy that was exclusive for girls that later became mixed. Issei. Sip. I see, in that case, welcome to the academy because I am the student president Shinomiya Kagaya. Issei. Issei residence on Placer. Shinomiya. Nice to meet you, but do you think you can take off your mask? Issei. I could, but you have to do me a favor. Shinomiya. Which one? Issei. Don't tell anyone the description of my face. Shinomiya. Why? Issei. Don't think badly, Kaichu, it's just that I have such a distrust in putting on this mask. Shinomiya. If that's the case, then don't take it off. Issei was surprised by what Shinomiya said and then asked. Issei. But if you are the student council president, you should know what my face looks like. Shinomiya. I know, but when you told me about your distrust, I was intrigued as to why, so it's better that you show me your face when you trust me. Issei. Are you sure? Shinomiya. Totally, and I can't demand that you take it off since I would be violating an exclusive permission that the director gave you, and I'll give this back to you. Shinomiya said, returning the director's permission to Issei. Issei. Thank you, and in this case I'll leave until later. Shinomiya. Have a good time. Issei would only leave the council office to leave Shinomiya at his desk. At that, Shinomiya gives a strong sigh of slight tiredness, and at that the door opens. Hola, Shinomiya. Shinomiya. Oh, Fujiwara. I'm Shinomiya and my friend Fujiwara. Fujiwara. Hey, just now I saw a masked boy leave the office. Who was he? Shinomiya. He's new to this school, his name is Issei. Fujiwara. What is the cause? Yuvio. Shinomiya. Fujiwara, can I ask you a favor during the break? Fujiwara. Yes, what do you need? Shinomiya. Bring me Issei Haidu's file during the break since his previous school was Kuo Academy. Fujiwara. Oh, is that the academy? Shinomiya. Yes, and I need the file. I want to know his history at that academy. Fujiwara. Okay, I'll bring you Issei Haidu's file during the break. Shinomiya. Thanks, well, it would be better to go to class. Shinomiya said, getting up from his seat, and so both girls left the office. With Issei. We can see our protagonist walking through the halls again, and then he speaks. Issei. Who would have thought that the student council president would remind me of Sona Kaichu? Well, let's see which classroom I have to go to. Issei said, taking something out of his pants pocket to see a note telling him the classroom number. Issei. Classes start at 7:10 a.m. and it's… Issei said to take his cell phone out of his other pocket and see the time, and sees that it is 6:53. Issei. I still have time. Issei said as he walked a few more steps. Issei. It's here. Issei spoke in front of his classroom, but in that Issei would hear a somewhat older female voice. Sorry. Issei would turn around only to see a beautiful woman with a very voluptuous body and long hair. Issei would be a little surprised to see said woman in that the woman speaks. I can help you with something. Issei. Ah, yes, in fact I am new here at this school and I got this room, if you want you can see. Issei spoke to give the woman the shot with the room number and said. If it's here and you tell me you're new, then I'm Professor Ayana Kakinazaka, a pleasure. Issei. A place for a new placekeeper. Ayana. Well, wait for me here, I'll let you know so you can come in and introduce yourself. Issei. Okay. Ayana proceeded to go to the classroom to see her students talking among themselves. Ayana. Guys, please let me know what I want to tell you about something. The students, upon hearing their teacher, decided to listen to her and sat in their original seats. Ayana, upon seeing that her students were paying attention to her, decided to continue speaking. Ayana. Well, thank you for your attention. I want to tell you that there is a new classmate in this class. Whispers were present in the classroom as the students were curious. From the girls. Girl 1. Hey, do you think it's a boy or a girl? Girl 2. I hope he's a handsome guy. Girl 3. We should talk to him if he is a girl. Girl 4. Why not? On behalf of the boys. Boy 1. They think she's a pretty girl. Boy 2. I hope so. Boy 3. And if he's a handsome guy who catches the attention of girls. Boy 4. Let's hope he isn't, or that he has a girlfriend. Ayana. Guys, be quiet please. The students stopped whispering and returned their attention to their teacher. Anaya. Well, let's welcome your new classmate. Now we can see our protagonist at the door of the living room. Issei. Well, they already called me, I should make a good impression or I just go in like that. Addressing readers. Issei. Comment here how I should introduce myself, because I think we will leave the chapter here, or well, the first part as it says in the title. At that Issei proceeds to take off his mask and say. Issei. This is the first part of this chapter hitches. Chapter 5. First day of school. Part 2 end. We can see our chestnut tree in front of the door of his living room. Issei. Well, since no one responded to the last chapter 1, guess I'll do it my way. Issei opened the classroom door to enter, and the students of the class saw their new classmate, but they noticed that he was wearing a mask, and then Ayana spoke. Ayana. I present to you your new classmate Haidu Issei. Everyone saw our protagonist and started whispering again because they didn't expect their new classmate to be wearing a mask. Something that left a mystery among everyone. What would your face look like? Some people wondered that maybe he is so ugly that he decided to hide his face so as not to be judged by society, or that maybe he is so attractive that girls chased him and harassed him non-stop, or that maybe he had a deformity on his face. But they were sure of one thing. What was hidden beneath that mask? Ayana. Okay guys, what questions do you have for him? That a boy raises his hand. Boy 1. I have a question. But before saying the question he would be interrupted by Issei. Issei. If it's about my mask, I'll answer you later, so ask me another question. Both the boy and the class decided to wait until later for him to answer that question, and the boy decided to ask another question. Boy 1. If that's the case then where are you coming from? Issei. I come from the city of Kuo. I previously studied at the Kuo Academy which was previously for girls and then became a mixed one, and I moved here to Tokyo because of a job promotion from my father, something else. At that a girl raises her hand. Girl 1. Do you have any hobbies? Issei. Well, I like to play video games, watch anime, read some manga, do parkour sometimes, and from time to time I make sculptures with clay and things like that. The students, upon hearing the hobbies, so to speak, of the chestnut, some became interested in talking to him, and you already know why. Ayana. Well, if anyone has one more question to start the class, please say it now. All the students had nothing to say and Professor Ayana, seeing that none of her students had questions, spoke. Ayana. Well then, let's start the class and Haidu can sit next to Minas. Issei would see who he would sit next to and saw that it was the girl he met when he entered the school. Issei. Okay. While Issei was heading to sit down he spoke to the front. Issei. You know, this is the typical cliché of the first day of school or being a new student at school and meeting a male or female student at school and in the end finding yourself in the same class, and this is the case. He said as he addressed the readers and sat down at his desk. Minas. Hi Haidu-san, nice to see you again. I didn't expect you'd be in my class. Issei. I didn't expect to meet you so soon either, and if you want you can call me Issei. Minas. Safe. Issei. Don't worry, I have no problem. Minas. Well, if that's the case, thank you Issei-san. Issei would nod his head and then hear Ayana say. Ayana. Okay guys, take out your history books up to page 15. And so began the first class of our favorite chestnut tree. First break. We can see the masked chestnut surrounded by his companions as they were all very curious about the chestnut. Boy 1. Hey, can we ask you more questions before you leave? Issei. No problem. Girl 2. We want to know why you wear that mask. Issei. It's simple, I'm too ugly for this world. The students, upon hearing that, were perplexed by the answer, although the next thing they heard from the chestnut tree made them full Dragon Ball style. Issei. Nah, that's not true. I speak in a comical way the chestnut to continue talking. Issei. The real reason is that I have such high distrust that I don't want to show my face. Girl 1. But why? Issei. Why yes. Issei, upon giving that answer, left the students with a drop of sweat behind their heads. Issei. Any other questions? Boy 2. You said you were from Kuo and that you and your parents moved to Tokyo because of your father's promotion, right? Issei. Okay. Boy 2. I wanted to know if the rumors spread in Kuo were true. Issei. What kind of rumors are you talking about? The students who were present only paid attention to the situation that was seen. Boy 2. There was talk of someone, a man or rather a teenager, who was very strong, who was feared, who faced gang members and left them on the ground as if nothing had happened, who could disappear like a ghost, who made those who looked at his children fall for no reason, his strength was so enormous that with one blow, he could leave a hole in the wall, and that girls were after him. Issei was silent as he listened to the boy. Issei. They also told you that he was a crazy maniac, that those who faced him were left in a worse state than people could imagine. Boy 2. Something like that, really, but I thought they were just exaggerating, but since you come from Kuo, I thought you could tell me if those rumors are true. Issei. Well, it was said that he does exist, even some were witnesses of his massacres and his strength, and the thing about the gang members was also true. Boy 2. And then what happened to him? Well, it is said that Kuo is somewhat peaceful. Issei. I don't know, it's just said that he went somewhere else and it's not known where, but well, we just hope that everything goes well for him. At that Issei gets up from his desk and says the following. Issei. Oral to the rod. He said, pushing the students away from their place and annoying some of them for his behavior. And Issei leaves the classroom and walks by the chopsticks and slightly calling the attention of the other students by the mask that the brown-haired boy was wearing. Issei. Okay, now what do I do? What do I do now? Issei thought as he stood in the hallway until he felt his shoulder being touched, only to see Issei turn around and see who interrupted his thoughts, only to see that it was Nagisa Minas. Issei. Ah, Minas-san, how about it? Minas. Well, I saw you leave the classroom after hearing what you said about that guy in Kuo, and above all, why did you behave that way when you left? The girl said, annoyed by Issei's behavior. Issei. Ah, it's just the custom. Issei answers and Minas asks with a raised eyebrow. Minas. Huh. Custom. Maybe at your previous school you were a bad person or something like that. Issei. If you want to know, let's go somewhere else if you want, and since you're here, would you be so kind as to give me a tour of this school? Minas. Of course, with pleasure. And that's how Issei got a tour. Thanks to Minas, the girl showed him all the rooms on the first, second and third floors. The library, the court used by the school sports teams, the physical education playground, also the cafeteria where, to Issei's surprise, they served his favorite dessert, cheesecake. At that Issei asks. Issei. Minas-san, is that cheesecake? Minas. Oh yes, that's right, in fact they only do it on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays of the week. Why do you like it? Issei, upon hearing what Minas said, couldn't believe it, and above all, that they served him for the 3 days that he specified they served him, he felt like he was in paradise. Issei. Minas-san, I think I died and I'm in heaven. Issei spoke, leaving the girl with a huh face. Well, our protagonist felt like this. A few minutes later. Now we can see our protagonist with Minas in a place away from the academy, since they were still on break and were in the schoolyard. Issei and Minas could be seen sitting on a bench, and Minas asks Issei. Minas. Esto, Issei-san. Issei. Yes, san. Minas. About your old school where you studied, how it was. Issei sighs and says the following. Issei. I used to get into trouble with my only 2 friends, since all 3 of us had a particular flaw. Minas. And I can know what kind of defect. Issei. Minas, what I'm going to tell you might change the way you think about me, since what I'm going to tell you will be what determines what kind of person I am, so I'm going to ask you the following. Are you willing to know what kind of person I am? Minas. Yes, I am. The girl said very determinedly, so she stays silent to listen to the brown-haired boy. Issei. Very good. And just as Issei would tell him the events that happened in Kuo, but before that happens, Issei says the following for the readers. Issei. I think we're going to leave this chapter here, so without further ado, taking off his mask, this is it for this chapter, Hitches. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.